a show. This is a movement. This is your community. This is your voice. Welcome to the People's Voice, DC, hosted by Pastor Mike, powered by the rising voices of politics.
It's the People's Voice, DC, where the people rise and speak real conversations, changing lives. Together we can lead. It's the People's Voice, DC. Your voice matters here. From every ward and every block, the people's voice is clear. We talk about the issues, the stories that inspire, building stronger communities, taking DC higher. Education, housing, the things that shape our days, lifting every voice up, creating better ways. Stand up, speak out. Together we are stronger. Stand up, speak out. The future starts right now. It's the People's Voice, DC, where the people rise and speak real conversations, changing lives. Together we can lead. It's the People's Voice, DC. Your voice matters here. From every ward and every block, the people's voice is clear.
No matter where you're coming from, your story matters too. When neighbors work together, there's nothing we can't do. Real issues, real solutions, real people taking part, building hope across the city. One conversation starts.
This is our city. This is our time. Together we'll shine.
The People's Voice.
The people's voice. Every voice matters. Every story counts. The people's voice.
The People's
It's the people's voice, DC, where the people rise and speak real conversations, changing lives. Together we can lead. It's the people's voice, DC. Your voice matters here. From every ward and every block, the people's voice is clear.
Hosted by Pastor Mike, powered by rising voices. This is
The people's voice, DC.
Welcome to this edition of the People's Voice DC. Of course, I'm your host, Pastor Mike, and we've got a good show for you tonight. We've got Ward 8 politics, we've got community, we've got accountability, and we might have a little disagreement tonight. But we have a good show. There is no doubt about that. But before we get into all of that, y'all know that I cannot start tonight without talking about the fact that football is back. I'm talking about my Washington Commanders are back tomorrow night. Commanders, Dolphins, 7 o'clock right here. Listen, I'm excited. I don't know about y'all, but I am excited. I'm talking about JD Fatman. Did you hear the news? Did you hear about us getting my boy from Maryland, my boy Stephon Diggs with Scary Terry? Like, the offense is about to be explosive. It's about to be out of your mind. But listen, it's preseason. I know it don't count. I know I don't care. I just want to get back to watching football. You know what? I have literally watched the entire series. I'm talking about every season. I've watched the entire series of Empire. That's how much I have missed football. I've just been trying to find something to watch. But listen, we're going to tone it down for a minute. We let you get excited, and I want y'all to watch this. And right after that, of course, we're going to get into it. We got Commissioner Tom, and he'll be with us. But first, you've got to see this right here.
Oh, Y'all, you know what it is. The commanders are in the building. Post up and take command, cause we fight together. Ain't no me thing, it's a we thing. We fight together, it's a team thing. Every last man will take a stand. WFT is a G thing. We fight together, we fight. We fight together, we fight. Hell to the no till the whistle blow. We don't back down for no man. We fight together, we fight. We fight together, we fight. For ODC, we bring victory. We fight together all night. We fight. Special teams, defense and offense. We will attack as we defend. Kicking grass with the run or pass. We gonna fight until we win. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. Hell to the no till the whistle blow. We don't back down for no man. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. We fight. For ODC, we bring victory. We fight together all night. We fight. Fighting hard for the fan base. The DMV is the home place. You ain't seen a team this mean. We gonna fight y'all all day. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. We fight. Hell to the no till the whistle blow. We don't back down for no man. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. We fight. For ODC, we bring victory. We fight together all night. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. Hell to the no till the whistle blow. We don't back down for no man. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. We fight. For ODC, we bring victory. We fight together all night. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. We fight. Hell to the no till the whistle blow. We don't back down for no man. We fight together. We fight. We fight together. We fight. For ODC, we bring victory. We fight together all night. We fight.
Shout out to that video. That was lit. Listen, we fight together for ODC. We fight together. We fight. All right, we've had our fun. Now it's time to get down to the people's business. And tonight I am joined by somebody who certainly has not been afraid to make any noise in Ward 8. This is Commissioner Tom Donahue, who represents ANC 8A01. I hope I got that right. Commissioner, welcome to the People's Voice, DC.
Thanks, Pastor Mike. I think this is like a second or third time being on your show now.
Yes. You are becoming a regular. We gotta get them more often, but you are becoming a regular, and I do thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So, listen, who is Tom? Before we get into any lawsuits, before we get into Trayon White, before we get into any controversy, we want to meet, for those who haven't met, Tom. Okay, so who is Commissioner Tom? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Tom Donahue. I've been in Fairlawn for about 15 years now. I'm originally from Central Pennsylvania. In my past, I have most recently been a sole proprietor of a photography business. I have been a flight attendant. I have worked as an assistant store manager for Walmart. I've lived in several states, and I have been proud to call home here to Washington, D.C. and Southeast for now just about 15 years.
Wow. So what made you come from Pennsylvania, Central Pennsylvania, to D.C. and especially to Ward 8 out of all of D.C.?
So I actually came to DC from Charlottesville, Virginia.
Okay.
I had moved down to Charlottesville as a result of becoming a flight attendant. And I moved to DC as a result of a relationship that I was in, and haven't left since.
Wow. Well, I thank that past partner for bringing you to DC.
Well, I love being in DC. I love DC. I love our neighborhood, and I hope that over the years that people have gotten to know me, that they have seen that dedication, and being here.
Speaking of that dedication, what made you decide, you know what, I'm going to run for commissioner? Like, did you think this was going to be uh what it is, or is it something that you thought would be different and it turned out to be it's not what it is?
I think that the one thing, so I expected it to be a lot of work. I knew that I was going to put in the work. I needed to, just be me. And the one thing I didn't anticipate, though, was the fact that so many people's lives would have an impact on me. For instance, over the summer or over the winter, right around Christmas, one of my constituents I knew was right around the time of having a child. And so, and I saw him, and I'm like, baby, watch, baby, watch. And I was all excited, hugging it up. And I will never forget this moment when they shared with me they had lost the baby. And I mean, even to this day, it affects me. Just the thought of that right around Christmas time, and I honestly didn't know what to say and or do. And the first thing that came to my heart and mind was I asked him if I could give him a hug, and I just gave him a hug and left him know that my thoughts were with them. And let me tell you, that interaction has been something that has stayed with me ever since, and something I think about often. It grounds me to keep in mind that these are people's lives that I represent, and I think it's one of the reasons why I fight so hard. And so I think that was the biggest surprise, and that continues to happen. The different stories, for an entire year, last year, I fought to get 2 residents out of a building on 19th Street. If folks know, it's the big white building on 19th Street. It's been the source of a lot of bad news and bad energies for many years. And it was disgusting to be even walking in there. Every single time I walked in there, it was disgusting, and I could not believe that we had people living in this building. And so it was one of my main goals last year, was to get them out by the end of the year. And I'm very proud to say that I worked very diligently with the owners, and we were able to get both the remaining tenants relocated. One even has the option of coming back when they renovate the building. And there were special provisions with that agreement to make sure that the residents were paying the same amount of rent and things like that. Just protections for them, because that's what they were used to paying, and I wanted to make sure that those were protected if they did come back. So it's for long-term use. For the long-term, they could plan. They could know that no matter where they were going to be paying the same amount of rent. So it is one of my biggest accomplishments, because I really wanted to get that building shut down, and now we're trying to push the owners to get the permits that they need. They're underway, and my understanding is once they have the permits, they'll be able to begin actually gutting it and renovating it. They're going to actually put an additional floor on it, and so this is the revitalization of 19th Street, and we have a lot of more work to do. But every time I go by that building, I'm glad that we were able to get those people out in a safe and controlled way, and today they're doing better because of it.
And let's just revisit some of the things that you have done. I'm going to share Actually, I believe something that I saw on your page. It talks about a neighborhood cleanup in March, a community walk with your city leaders, a multi-agency neighborhood walk. You'll work at Kramer Middle School. You'll work for a CBA. That's a new boom. And Fairlawn sewer crisis at Anacostia High. So you have definitely been putting in some major work here. And I thank you for that. But you are running for reelection. So, very briefly, just talk about things that you also that you like to see get done in the future as well. What else can we look forward to seeing from Tom?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the community knows that we continue to have a big issue with squatters and addicts that are, basically taking over Q Street, the 1800 block of Q Street. We've got several buildings that have been infiltrated with squatters that basically have either broken into the buildings or broken into individual apartments and have began to literally take the building over. And
Hmm.
it has become sort of a mecca of illegal activity and crime, and that is very concerning to me because it is one block, not even really a block, from our Kramer Middle School. And if you don't think that activity like that doesn't affect enrollment, it certainly does. And so I have taken several steps. Not only did I call a meeting with district agencies and the actual tenants that live in the building, but then the week following, I brought all those agencies out to the property to actually inspect the property. Just 2 weeks ago, we did a Thrive Walk, where some of you might have seen, cars being towed and enforcement being made. And this is, when cars are sitting and they don't meet the requirements of what the district requires. Most often these cars are just sitting there collecting, whatever they can under their tires. So when we get a good rainstorm, all that trash that's in the street comes flying down the street, and it gets stuck behind all these abandoned cars or these cars that just sit there and don't do anything, for the community. And it also takes up parking for other people. So again, not my enforcement. That is DPW comes through and makes those calls, but it was part of the enforcement that we had just 2 weeks ago, and part of my commitment to making Q Street a better place to go to school and to work. I'm working right now with. I've extended an invitation to our at-large council members, probably for sometime next week, to do a tour of some of the buildings that are in Fairlawn, specifically to highlight the issues around squatting. And we know that before break, the mayor has indicated that she's going to be moving some legislation before the end of the year about squatting. And so it's my hope that that the council members will come and look at the issues that we're having firsthand. I think it's probably indicative of a lot of issues that we're having around the district. And so in combination of that, we talk about having enforcement, but one of the things I have stressed over and over again is that we have neighbors of ours who are struggling, who are addicted to drugs, who are homeless, who need help. And so it's easy to say this, but to actually do it, I have worked an agreement to have the DBH and a mental health trailer every Monday for the next 2 months. It started this past Monday. It'll be parked in Triangle Park to hopefully for them to establish relationships with our neighbors that are challenged and who are fighting the addiction problem, so that they know that there's resources right in front of them. And so
I
hopefully,
personally, I would love if I could be included on some of those walks. And also maybe we can coordinate some things that happen when those trailers are outside on Mondays to try to better that situation. So I would love to talk further more after the show to try to coordinate some things with you and try to help. I'm a firm believer that we need to have our city and our streets safe, but I am very sensitive when we talk about reversing something that our honorable mayor for life, Marion Berry, did. There was a very, very specific reason um, for the laws he created, which actually strengthened squatter rights. So that was for a very significant reason, and especially to the people that are of the black and brown community. Yeah, but I definitely love what you're doing there. We gotta move on in the show. So just hold that thought. And also what you said while we're talking about it, it gives me the perfect opportunity to do something. A lot of us actually we know exactly what's wrong in our neighborhoods, and we can tell you what's wrong with the street, the trash, the traffic, the government, everything. And sometimes we just need people willing to go from complaining to serving. Through Rising Voices DC, we are helping Washingtonians who are interested in becoming a advisory neighborhood commissioner, just like Tom, who is interested in putting in the work, making a difference in your community. You care about your neighbors, you're willing to work. So if you've ever thought maybe I should run for ANC, reach out to us here at Rising Voices. We want to help you. Here is our flyer for those who would like to see. You can contact us via message, call, or email. But we're gonna move right along. And I just want to show our viewers some other breaking news that has been going on with Commissioner Tom. Now we're about to change directions, Commissioner, because you haven't only been fighting for the district government. You are now you find yourself fighting with the district government, specifically MPD, and this is over reward money. So, like, let me read. This is an excerpt from Fox 5 News. It says that you provided video footage that led to the arrest and conviction of the man who killed David Farewell in a 2020 hit and run crash. Farewell was riding a bike when he was killed, and I'm an avid biker, so you know how I feel about this. Commissioner said you received a threat while working with the police on a case. MPD awarded you 5,000 rather than the $25,000 reward that you believe you should have received. Um, you relied on that payment. Also, you was going to help pay for a tombstone for the guy, for the family. So that's very honorable. And also says also that wasn't the only case that you owed money for directing police to David Crocker, who was a serial armed robber. So I mean, like, I have never heard anything like this ever happen before in my life. Like, I don't even think that anyone, I've never heard anyone like question the reward money pro. I have never even thought about, and I've run for mayor, so, but I have never even thought about looking into the program. So, like, please tell us the story.
yeah, so it's pretty simple. I brought video evidence of the murder of David Farewell that evening to the police department. I was able to provide a picture of the actual vehicle that ran Mr. Farewell over. In fact, when I first was approached by the police, or when I went up to the police, they thought that it was an accident, hit and run, and when I told them I would go and grab the video footage, and sure enough, it was intentional, and I provided MPD the 10 minutes leading up to the accident, and then 10 minutes leading after the accident. Um, And in conversations with MPD, they determined, or I was told, that, and these are recorded conversations, that that I was going to be receiving $25,000 reward for the fact that I provided that information that led to his arrest and apprehension and successful conviction of him. He was found guilty, and he's serving 8 years. And this is somebody that violently ran a man over that was on a bicycle in the middle of a pedestrian walkway. It was heartbreaking for the family. Immediately, the family had contacted me, and we actually, for several years, we did candlelight vigils, and I organized the community to support the family as much as possible. The second thing was, and let me also stress that these both happened well before my becoming an ANC commissioner. The second thing was, we had a series of armed robberies that an individual that was 18 years old was initially charged with. And as I continued to watch the case come through, I brought to the attention of MPD that that this young man was sitting in jail, and the next thing I noticed was that he was released and was supposed to go on a GPS. And so the more that we looked at it, the more I realized that the gentleman who they had arrested, this 18-year-old, was not the actual person that was committing the crimes. And so as a result, I started to make a big stink about it. They brought a detective in that worked with me for a good 5 to 7 days straight, just going through every single robbery that had occurred. The gentleman who was doing the robberies was arrested by Park Police, and the connection was made, whereas they dropped the charges from the 18-year-old who was found with a BB gun at the time that they arrested him. But thankfully, a full and comprehensive review of the cases occurred. We looked at all the video footage, because the person that was committing the crime kept walking by my apartment, where I have security cameras. And so either before or after almost every robbery, I had him walking by in some sort of capacity. I'll also say that I was also the victim of one of the armed robberies, as well as several of our residents in Fairlawn. It was a very scary time, because and it's one of the driving forces behind my wanting to become an ANC commissioner, because this would have been an appropriate time for our commissioner to alert the community and let them know that these armed robberies were taking place. Literally, Michael, this guy was walking down the street with a hand in a man purse, and just literally pulling it out to the first person that he came across, and it didn't matter what time of the day that it occurred. He just was just indiscriminately just robbing people, and it caused, for several months, it caused quite a bit of stir and fright in the neighborhood. I'm glad that MPD stepped up to the bar and conducted a complete reevaluation of the case. And again, I'm very happy that the video evidence played a significant role, so much where the MPD has several levels of authority that have to approve these types of payouts. And it went all the way up to the assistant chief. He at first signed off on it. We have the FOIA documents that show his approval, and then all of a sudden we see the same documents that are not redacted, which was odd itself, but where his approval was withdrawn. And so I think what is really important to note here is that, and that there's systematic issues with this program, and you're not going to hear from people that have issues with the program, because that would require them to be out and public about it. It's not.
So are you not?
Most,
I mean, speaking of that, are you not like? Did anything say, "Hey, look, maybe you coming out in public about this could put your life in danger"?
Sure. So just walking across the street. I mean, I think that it's important that as a public figure, I use that in a way to better our community. And had I not, I mean, there's really no trust in the Crime Stoppers program as of right now, in my opinion. It is completely discretionary. There's no rubrics. There's no standard operating procedures. There's really nothing binding the program together. It's sort of my understanding is it's a committee of people that when a witness testifies, and you've got video evidence of it, what do you value the differences of a firsthand witness testimony versus an indisputable piece of evidence like video? How do you value those two things? So, for instance, if there's three people that were involved that offered information, testimony, and two pieces of video evidence, how do you break those down into a rubrics of what they're worth? And there is nothing. It is all completely discretionary. And so, and I think that if we make it to discovery, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked here as to how this program is incorporated with our victims and our witnesses. The last second change of going from $25,000 to $5,000 begs to wonder how that happened, when it happened, for what reason it happened. And that's why I'm bringing this lawsuit forward, is because we need to create a systematic program that everybody is treated the same. There's a rubrics a calculation as what what each piece of evidence is worth. And it would prevent those types of discretionary decisions from being made. The other thing is that MPD, and we're talking high-ranking officials with MPD, could not tell me very basic information about the program. What is the funding sources? Who pays this bill? We have, over the course of 3 years, we've had about $1.2 million worth of money dedicated and put in given as part of this reward program. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of money. And so, where is the oversight with that? Where's the funding coming from? There's a lot of questions that MPD could not and would not answer.
We definitely need the answers to that. We definitely we know how I hate to say it like this, but everyone knows me. We know how this government under Mayor Bowser's leadership and certain folks and certain agencies have just got happy with the money, should I say, and irresponsible with our finances. So we definitely need to have some type of oversight and understand how this program works, especially if we're talking about over $1 million being given out, and there is no oversight, there is no accountability. That just cannot happen in this city.
And I think that as much as I hate to use myself as an example, I'm probably the best person to do this. And before I became a commissioner, before I even thought about becoming a commissioner, these crimes and these awards were awarded. Now, and keep in mind that this was, these were these were pre-awards, so we know automatically how much. It's up to $25,000 for a murder and up to $10,000 for something like an armed robbery. This is about the principle of sticking to the district's word about making a commitment that if you are going to be brave enough to bring evidence forward that puts somebody that is as dangerous as somebody who kills somebody or who robs somebody at gunpoint in jail and finds them guilty, that person should be rewarded. And to this day, as much as I wish that it never happened, I am also proud the fact that we took a murderer and a serial armed robber that robbed 15 people at gunpoint, and he received 18 years in jail. These are not the people we want on our streets. And if a little reward helps to sort of encourage somebody to take that type of a person off the streets, then so be it. I've also renewed my commitment to both Mr. Farwell's family, who David Farwell has been buried without a tombstone, and another murder victim that happened right on the border of my SMD, Brandon Gant. I've committed at least $2,000 to both of them to pay for the tombstones that are missing from their grave sites. And so that was the driving force behind me wanting to speak up and do something about this, because it wasn't fair, and because they had told me the amounts that I was going to be getting, the $25,000. I went to those families and told them that I was going to help pay for those tombstones. And then when, to my surprise, without notice, I got a check for $5,000, it started making me ask questions like, how could this happen? And that just evolved into a snowball effect into to realizing that the program doesn't really exist. There's no standardized there's no outline. There's nothing in writing that says how the program works. And so, I want to be part
it needs
of
a
this.
structure, and I hate to cut you off, but it basically needs a structure, um and and um and of course oversight, as I keep saying. I'm very big on oversight, and we can really talk about this for 20 minutes, to be honest, but we've got to move on. We're talking about accountability, so we're going to keep on in that same sense of accountability. Talk about um Ward 8, council member Trayon White is scheduled to go to trial September 14th, as we all know, on a federal bribery charge. Before we go any further, I do need to be transparent with my audience and transparent with you. If you haven't realized, Trayon is someone who I love, who I've supported, and I'm rooting for him. But this is called the People's Voice, not Pastor Mike's voice. So I'm not bringing you here because I expect you to agree with me, or I have been, and I know that you have had some criticisms. But I did come across one of your posts right here, where you say a mentor is not someone facing bribery charges in the city he serves. Let's not forget these images and headlines. Anyone calling this man a mentor should consider the man he became. I also kind of feel like, I don't know, but I believe I'm going to say it like this: Mayor-elect Janice is the one who referred to council member as her mentor. Um, and so I just want to, this is a show called The People's Voice. And as a commissioner, I want to make sure that we're representing what the people want. I also, I'm thinking about the fact I believe you endorsed Kenyon McDuffie for mayor, and I believe Ward 8 voted for Janice for mayor. I believe that was the largest turnout in Ward 8. And so I'm just curious to know, do you feel like maybe you don't have the pulse of where the majority of the people think, or was this more so of a personal opinion?
For starters, I would say that the graphic that you put up that I had put on, it was actually posted to my personal page. It was not my commissioner page. So I'm certainly free to have my own personal opinion. It's not something I don't believe that I shared on to my commissioner page. However, I do keep my personal page and my commissioner page completely separate. Very rarely do I even cross post stuff onto my
Mm,
personal page.
okay.
And there's a reason for that. The fact that I still am an independent person where when I speak on behalf of being a commissioner, then I speak on behalf of the people that voted me. And this is a conversation that I have with my constituents quite frequently, because it is important to have the tone of my SMD. Now, I'll stress the fact that the 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 temperature of my SMD versus the rest of Ward 8 is significant is different. A significant number of my constituents are concerned about what Trayon is excuse me, Councilmember White is charged with. I think that they're concerned with the fact that we've seen envelopes changing hands with money in it. And again, I'll stress that out of respect. I mean, Councilmember White is certainly innocent until proven guilty. However, the when you look at the eye of crime and the eye of politics, there's two different things. And unfortunately, Councilmember Trayon White is a council member, and he is this is politics. And so, it's easy to look at the transactions that took place in the privacy of what he thought was his car, um, and um, and it doesn't look good. I am very concerned about how his trial is going to have an impact on all of us at Ward 8. There's going to be a split. There's going to be people that have very strong opinions either way. And so it's going to be important for all of us to remember, you know, this is about the way that Ward 8 politics move forward.
Now
And
you stressed about making a difference between the politician and the person. Um, there are people throughout Ward 8 who will tell you, hey, the council member Trayon helped me. The council member Trayon showed up for me. The council member, I mean, our future mayor is even saying the council member Trayon mentored me. So are you saying that those federal bribery charges um now makes those people's experiences invalid? Do you
well, I
believe that those charges now make his ability to lead any different?
So two great questions. No, I don't think it invalidates what the sort of experience some have had with Councilmember White. However, I do think that it does affect his ability to govern and to lead and to be a mentor. If you are being accused, he's currently being accused, but if he's found guilty of those crimes, um, you know, that's not qualities of a good leader. And I mean,
I guess and forgive me because I'm not trying to be one-sided or anything, but when you say that, I can't help but think about the person who has inspired me the most in this city, and that is our mayor for life, Marion Barry, who who was convicted, who did do time, who some people would call it criminal, and who I still say to this day is someone who I consider a mentor. Someone who I know helped me, who helped me get my first apartment, who helped me get into UDC, who showed up for me. And I also seen him get out of jail or prison and come back into the city and become a council member and actually govern effectively. And so I just I don't understand that thought.
Well, I mean, look, we you know, we know what's right and what's wrong, and so when somebody you know takes that trust of our community and throws it away, I mean, Michael, let's look at all the negative. Let's look at all of the negative headlines that were brought in because of this case. This hurts Ward 8. Now, you know, I'll be the first person to say that Tryon should and will be given the opportunity to present his case. Based upon the images that we've already seen, it's alarming, and it should be alarming to you too. No matter how much he has done for some in the community, he sort of, by his own account, throws that out the window with breaking the trust of the of the people that live in Ward 8. And you can't, for the purposes of improving Ward 8 politics and improving and how kids look up to politicians and the expectations that we set for our politicians. I mean, and the argument can be made because we also have a president that's in office that has been accused of federal crimes and has been found guilty and is still the president. But often people will look at him, as not necessarily the greatest influence in children's lives, or he's not necessarily. He's a great mentor. It really depends on your own morals and your own convictions, but when you violate the trust of your citizens, when you violate the trust of the power that you've been given, if Tryon is found guilty of these crimes, then it's not good. That's the difference between good and bad, and somebody that has the capability of doing. Even some people are saying he was set up or whatever. Okay, so even if he was set up, he still committed the crimes. And I don't necessarily believe. We'll see when the court comes through that he was set up. But either way, on multiple, not just once, not just twice, not just 3 times, on multiple occasions, he made that conscientious decision to go and violate the trust of the taxpayers in Ward 8. And now he's going to have to face those consequences. And I wish him well. I just was with him at his Resources to the Block event here in Triangle Park. I actually did an interview with him on my Facebook page. The seat that he sits in, the council member seat, is an important role for all of us, and it's important that I continue to work with him. And now I'll be honest with you. I have flat out said that I need his help and have asked him to come into being a more active role in this squatter issue. Even with having multiple commissioners that work for his office, and we have not been able to make leeway. And so I went out and just started making arrangements on my own, and that's why I was able to secure a 2-month agreement with the mental health van for the next 2 months every Monday. And I think that that's going to be really important, because additionally, what I'm going to do is tag team on that and bring other resources in on Monday. So one Monday, I'm hoping to work with Pathways to Housing and bring in folks that can help people get their IDs and their birth certificates and their social security cards, and allow people to begin to feel like they're human again, like they're like they matter. And when they get that, then guess what the next step is? Bring in the vans from employment services so that they can actually go up into a van and fill out job applications, and and bring the resources to them, and encourage them, and these are our neighbors. I don't, as difficult. Look, I've been assaulted 3 different times by drug addicts, thinking that whether I'm recording them or whatever the case might be, they didn't like me being around. Now, in the same breath, I would say that most of our unhoused and some of those that are challenged with drug addiction, they also know that I'm trying to help them. I was the only person out on 4th of July weekend making sure that everybody had water, cold water, so that we didn't see any deaths. The simple, small stuff like that really makes a difference.
I get it, and I'll just leave it at this. I'll say, because we got to wrap up and go to the next subject before it's almost time for our show to be over. But I'll say about this: the voters knew, they knew about the charge, the voters knew about the controversy, the voters seen the videos, the voters read the reports, and the voters still chose to elect Trayon White as their council member. Um, I've watched him
To that, I
show up
would
for people.
to that.
I've watched him connect with young people. I've watched him deal with residents, um, and I've watched him amongst the council. So when someone says to me, I now when you talk about trust, that's a different story. But when someone says to me that Trayon isn't a mentor specifically, I have to challenge that part. Now I'll just leave it at that, we
Then I
can.
would challenge you and say, ask any school teacher whether somebody that's, let's assume at this point, if he's found guilty, if that is the definition of what a good mentor is. Look, we can't deny the fact that
And
there's
I
good
hold
and
on, no,
bad
you
things in
can't throw that out
politics.
there. You cannot throw that out there when you're talking to a school teacher. And so I'll respond by saying yes, because guess what? I am someone who is criminally charged. I am someone who has been in jail. I am someone who have took bribes. I am someone who have used drugs. I am someone who have committed numerous crimes. And guess what? God forgave me, God restored me, and people to this day trust me. Other parents trust me as a mentor with their kids. So if you're going to ask me, a teacher, if someone like that could be considered a mentor, my answer from Pastor Mike, hell yeah, we are considered to be a mentor. Now let's move on. Commissioner, tonight we've talked about lawsuits. We've talked about MPD. We've talked about elections, and we talked about Trayon White. But I don't want to end tonight without talking about another little neighborhood controversy. People hear enough about what's wrong with Ward 8, and I want to talk about what's actually changing in Ward 8. Pennsylvania Avenue is changing. I'm going to show a graph here. This shows what it looks like versus what it's going to look like. Commissioner, what are your thoughts on these changes by DDOT?
Yeah, so this has been a very frustrating experience for a lot of our neighbors. This has been a project that's been underway for well over 10 years. And the problem with it is that by the time that you bring in all the infrastructure changes, the underground things that need to be changed, the general infrastructure, that takes forever to set up what ultimately is going to be a new pattern of traffic and various different things. Um, that has taken so long that the traffic study needed to be reevaluated. And unfortunately, to some opinions of the community, when DDOT did that sort of reevaluation, they didn't do a very good job of presenting it to the public first.
Hmm.
And when
Usually the
they
case.
and so what happened is that we got a hold of it and we started having inviting DDOT to public meetings and really started to learn about what was going to happen. And because of that, DDOT actually made very recent changes to that plan. In some parts of the plan, it called for areas of my SMD like Nicholson Street to be reversed, to be actually be coming up Nicholson to Minnesota rather than down Nicholson to Prout Street. To me, that caused an issue because how would somebody get to the park easily? And so we came together as a community. A lot of the community members came out and really offered some strong opinions. And as a result of that, DDOT's made some changes to it. But look, folks, the next 2 years, we are in for it. This intersection between Pennsylvania and Minnesota Avenue, bring your patience because it's gonna be a hell of the next 2 years. We know that what that intersection is like without construction. Well, just be prepared. Please be patient. When it's all done, I think it's going to make this intersection. It's going to be much nicer. We're going to have some nice park area, places that you're going to be able to sit. It's going to really improve a main intersection into Southeast.
Please think about us bikers. It is hell on wheels when you are riding a bike right there on Pennsylvania Avenue. When you are going over that bridge and trying to go towards Potomac Avenue Station, or coming the other way around when you leave, like say if you're leaving at McDonald's and going over the bridge on Pennsylvania Avenue, like it's hell when you're riding a bike. It's hell. It's hell. And while you're at it, we would like to go to the post office and wait for our bus without 1,000 people harassing us. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, so let me also say that Minnesota Avenue is also changing. And I don't know if you have that up, if you have a graphic of that or not. There's some bus stops that are going to be changing. So the bus stop at 19th Street in Minnesota is actually going to be removed. And because we currently have a stop at 19th and 18th, and it's repetitive. So we had 22nd, 19th, and 18th. And so they're removing the one at 19th. One of the other things I want to stress is that I have heard from several of our neighbors about the complaints of people hanging out at the bus stations. One of the things I've done in the last several months is convene a meeting with MPD, with WMATA, with Metro Transit, and our crime suppression group, and have had discussions about the people, when it's time to go to school and you've got vulnerable kids coming up to the bus stop needing to get on the bus, and you've got people either sleeping or doing drugs inside of the bus terminal area, the bus hut, we'll call it, that doesn't provide a very safe environment for impressionable kids trying to get to school. And so I convene meetings with Ramada and MPD, and one of the things I learned about is that it's difficult to get people to they can't go and tell people to move from the bus stops because all they have to say is, I'm waiting for a bus. And if you start to harass people who are waiting for a bus, then you're impeding in their constitutional activity, their constitutional rights. And so that's why you often will see, those that are not necessarily waiting for a bus, but using it as shelter or whatever the case might be, to do drugs and things like that. Now, if you see somebody doing something illegal in these bus stops, call 911. And think about the next kid that walks up that might be seeing or might be exposed to what that person is doing. They know that they can't be doing that in there. And as we continue to bring these resources over the next 2 months to the community and to Triangle Park, I'm hoping that we can also address some of these longer term issues. It's something that we haven't been able to do, and we've been talking and asking for this type of service. And I've asked the director of behavioral health, DBH, to personally be involved and bring the best of the best resources. And let's see what they bring. Let's see what sort of success they bring. If they don't, then I'm going to start questioning the the resources that we actually have. If they're going to bring the best resources to help us with this situation, which is what their job is, and we can't affect change, then we need to really start thinking about the resources that we have.
Yeah, well, I'll say this, like I've already said it. Please make sure that I'm involved. I'm someone who used to be, as you already know, used to work right there at Boone Elementary, and it's a shame, what those kids have to leave out, and see right in front of the school. It is totally ridiculous. On the flip side, I also was working at Boone Elementary when there was a principal there who, thank God, she's gone, and who was calling the police on children who simply wanted to be children. And so I also want us to be sensitive at a time where we are facing a federal takeover, and we have extra law enforcement agencies who are very, very, I hate to say it, but very quick to pull the trigger on a young black brother or a young brown brother. I just want us to be careful when we decide whether to call 911 or to fight for better resources for a particular individual. This is the end of our show. Commissioner Tom, thank you for coming on the People's Voice DC. I really appreciate I especially appreciate something tonight. We didn't agree on everything, and we didn't have to, because that's what the people's voice is supposed to be. We don't have to agree. We don't have to vote the same way. We don't have to support the same candidates. But we ought to still be able to sit down at the same table, to look each other in the eye, and still be able to come together and talk about how we make DC better, how we make Ward 8 better, how we make our SMD better. Commissioner, I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Anything you want to leave with the people?
Thank you, Pastor Mike. The one thing I want to say is, this year I have a challenger to my SMD, and him and I recently have spent some time together. In fact, I invited him over, and as something that we should do, I signed his petition, allowing his name to go forward along with others. And that's the new politics. That's the type of politics we should be seeing in Ward 8. Is understanding that there's a lot of people that care about our ward. There's a lot of people that care about our communities and our neighborhoods. It doesn't have to be just me, but it can be a lot of us. And the more that we work together, the better our neighborhoods will be. The more we get to know our neighbors, the better our neighborhoods will be. The more that you get out in the event and be involved. We just had a community cleanup last weekend where about 10 or 12 members of the DC National Guard in plain clothes came out because they wanted to help us clean up our community. Came out and these are DC National Guard. These are our neighbors, our people you will see in the grocery stores, the people that actually live in DC that are part of our guard. They actually came out and help clean up with us, which we were proud to have. And I thank them for their commitment to making DC a better place for all of us. And the last thing I'll say is we're having a neighborhood yard sale. That's it. A neighborhood yard sale, Triangle Park, September 4th and 5th. 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th. The Saturday, the Friday, the Saturday, Sunday. I think it's 4th, 5th. Either way, you need to register. If you would like to be part of it, you need to register to make sure that we have enough space. Please go to www.ancaa01.com. You'll see there's a link for registration, but in order to be able to put your stuff out, there's no fees or anything. This is one way we want to get the community out, get people to see their neighbors, and to help some people out that may need to the extra coin in their pocket to sell a couple of some things that they may have. So come out and support the community. Come buy some of our neighbors' things. And if you have something to sell yourself, make sure you go to www.anc8801.com to register for our spot. Thank you, Pastor Mike. I appreciate you. I appreciate the spirited conversation, and I always appreciate the respectful dialogue that we've had, even under more difficult times than this. And I'm always available anytime. People call me all the time, inside and outside of ISMD. I'll try to refer them to their commissioner, if not, help them in any way I can. So you can reach me at 202-560-1994 or tom.donohue, DONOHUE, at anc.dc.gov.
Commissioner, thank you. And to everybody watching tonight, thank you. Remember, your neighborhood matters, your vote matters, and of course, your voice matters. Here on the People's Voice, every voice matters. I'm Pastor Mike. I'll see you next time. Don't forget, coming up, Jenny's is having a sit down in every single ward. You want to make sure that you get up. You want to go online. You want to register. You want to make sure you get that date to make sure you're in attendance. It's a listening session for your ward that day. Another thing, September the 19th. Listen, guys, I hope my sister isn't watching this, because if she's watching this, she's going to get me. But September 19th is my sister's birthday. But I will not be with her. You want to know where I'm going to be at? I'm going to be at the Fair Budget Coalition session. I will be there. We do it every year. We want to come together. We want to come together for a budget for our city. We want our council to work towards this budget. We want our mayor to work towards this budget. Let's come together. Let's put everything together on paper, and let's get it to our city leaders. The Fair Budget Coalition will be meeting on September 19th. You can check our website for more information. You can check our social media for information. Listen, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Miami Dolphins, Commanders. Let's go, Commanders! See you later.
Washington, D.C. This is more than a show. This is a movement. This is your community. This is your voice. Welcome to the People's Voice, D.C. Hosted by Pastor Mike. Powered by the rising voices of politics.
It's the People's Voice, DC, where the people rise and speak real conversations, changing